Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Once again, we thank you guys so much for joining us. As you are joining us, if you could go ahead and hit that little subscription button, like what you hear, that helps us out, helps you guys out. Win-win situation, and it's totally free. How do you ever pass up free in this world? Today, as we're here, March 27th, 2023, 3 days until opening day. And as of now, the roster for the season has been released.
Yeah, and the guy that everyone thought everyone was hoping would make the roster, Taylor Motter, is on. He's gonna be the backup infielder. But no, obviously we're here to talk about Jordan Walker today because obviously super pumped for him. Like that, like first and foremost, I think we get caught in how awesome it is for us as fans to be able to watch Jordan Walker on opening day, because that is really, really cool. But for him, a 20-year-old one, he's 10 years younger than I am. I mean, 10, not 10 years, sorry, 10 days. 10 days younger than I am.
This man is 30 years old and I didn't even know it.
He's 10 days younger than I am. But also imagine being him right now. Like, how awesome is it that he's going to be there? And how many players get to say their first day is even on first game is on opening day? That doesn't happen that often. Yep. But it's even less people are going to say their first game was on opening day in St. Louis in a season where they're expected to be contenders. Like, how awesome is that for him? Like, I can't even imagine it.
One, if you haven't watched the video of him and Ali telling him, watch it. Like, you sent it to me this morning. Chills, priceless, amazing. Like, I can't even in my mind picture what's going through his mind, because a lot of the things they're saying to him, he's got to be thinking, oh, they're sending me down. And then two, we will be sitting in left field opening day. Looks like it could be almost 70 degrees. Over under of how many high noons you're going to house before we get in there, but to get ready to start talking to Jordan Walker from where we're sitting.
Well, I've got two things. One, I'm going to disappoint you, but the first question, we're going to get those big Motomark cups, right? They hold two, so I'll have at least three of those. So we'll say at least six probably before I get in.
Okay.
But
flavor?
Just pineapple always.
Okay.
You always ask me, it's always pineapple.
All right.
But yesterday, I want to say it was Saturday, I believe, they had the lineup, and it looked like the opening day lineup. Lars Nootbaar was in left field and Jordan Walker was in right field.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. We'll love Lars.
Yeah, don't you dare sigh at Lars. Don't ever
do that again. Lars.
That's our international king.
We're going to get to the lineup later, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. With the 40-man released, the Cardinals right now have 41 because they have to add Jordan Walker. With the addition of Motter, they're right at 40. With the addition of Walker, obviously somebody has to go. Now, let me give you a few options. Don't jump at the options yet. Just wait till I finish and then tell me what you want to do instead of yelling at me when I come up with my options. All right.
Okay, go for it.
First option is you have the ability to, with a DeYoung or a Waino or a Wilking Rodriguez or anyone else on the IL, extend them to the 60-day DL. I don't see that happening with Wilking, but I don't know the extent of his injuries. But if you were to do that with Waino, which again, I'm in the camp that I think what you're going to say would shock me, but you have that option to get rid of. Then you don't have to drop someone. The other option is you have to cut someone. Now, when you look through it, and I've spent a lot of time today actually looking at it, to me, there's one glaring person, and this is not like I'm not trying to take a shot at this guy. It just seems like if you're looking at the future of the Cardinals, there's one guy on that roster that does not seem to have a place on the big league roster. Thoughts?
Who is that guy?
Well, I thought I was going to let you answer it.
Is it okay?
To me, it's for me.
Okay.
With the addition of Mason Winn, could be at AAA. We know that Donovan can play short. We now know that Motter can play short. You have Tommy Edman. I just don't see a path to any at bats unless you can play Fermin at second base every day down at AA. But Delvin Perez, what are you going to do with him? I think there's a lot of questions.
He's gone. Delvin Perez isn't in our organization anymore.
Did we lose Delvin?
He's gone. But anyway, well, let's go through the three options. He's gone. He's gone. Trust me. Let's go through the three options. One, I don't think Wainwright or DeYoung will go to the 60-day. While I do think it would benefit, well, DeYoung won't because I don't think his injury is anywhere close to that bad. Wainwright, I do think it would be a good idea to have him out for the first 2 months. Not for him, obviously. He wouldn't like that. But it would be good for the Cardinals because now, one, you could say, get your arm right. Like, get it right, and you better be throwing 89 when you come back. Like, we need you to be right. And it's also, he only needs 5 wins to get to 200. he's not getting to 211. I think missing even the first month or however long it is
Right.
kind of takes that out of the picture. But it will give him time to get right and come back and be able to pitch in the playoffs, which I'm sure is what he wants to do. I doubt he cares that much about pitching in April and May as much as he cares about pitching in August, September, and October. So that would be an option that would be, I mean, that's a good option. I think they're going to DFA somebody, if I'm being honest with you. I think Fermin's a good option to DFA. That's no offense to him. I just think with an organization that right now has so many talented middle infielders that are major league ready or very, very close to being major league ready, a lot of things would have to go wrong for me to be called up at any point in time. And if that does happen and you don't have him anymore and you need to call somebody up, you can go find it for me somewhere. Like that can be found.
Agreed. And first of all, let me
what was the
apologize
third
to
option?
Delvin Perez.
Huh?
My apology
Why?
to Delvin Perez, not for forgetting that he was in the Yankees organization. I don't know how I had missed that somehow.
It happened in the offseason.
Completely.
He got not DFA'd. I think he just was out of options and they didn't put him on. I don't know what
Was
happened.
it a Rule 5 guy?
What,
Whatever. It's
I don't know. What was the third option that you gave me?
I think I only gave you 2.
Okay. Yeah, and those are. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I guess my bet is they DFA somebody that, I mean, will know of, but we won't really like care.
I mean, if you're looking through it, unless it's going to be like Nsevich, but I would be shocked if they DFA an arm. I'd be shocked if they DFA an arm. It could be. I'm not arguing that. That would just surprise me. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they DFA
I don't see it
Pacheco.
being JoJo. I don't see it being. I mean, Chris Stratton's on the big. That we're going to talk about that in a minute. Like the big league roster released. I think if you're looking at it, I would be shocked if it's not for me. For me, only 23 years old. Somebody will pick him up. But I just, like I said, I just think if you aren't going to move Waino to the 60-day DL, I don't know the extent of his injury. I just don't know. IL. There we go. Or you're not going to do it with DeYoung, like whatever. And I know your thoughts on DeYoung. I honestly think their plan right now is they don't have to do anything with him. Like that's why I know you would suggest that they DFA Paul DeYoung. I understand that. They're not. I just would be shocked if they do that. I think they'll send him to Memphis when he's back from being healthy, and I think they will leave him down there as long. I don't know what the rules allow on a rehab start, but I think they will leave him down there as long to buy as much time as they need.
Well, the rules are Paul DeYoung doesn't have to do a rehab if he doesn't want to.
That is true.
So he's under contract, which in that case I'd say kick rocks, but we'll see what happens.
I think if that were to happen, then you're on to.
But yeah, he won't do that. By the way, he won't. He's not. That's not who he is. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think Paul DeYoung. It's tired. It's played out. Like as much as I like Paul DeYoung, and I always have, I would like him more if he wasn't hitting on my baseball team, the one that I watch, because it's so infuriating. It's been 3 years, but I
think he needs a change of scenery.
Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts on that side of it before we get? I think we need to spend a little bit of time on Jordan Walker itself because
absolutely, I want to. I just want to go ahead and talk about that 40-man. One thing I also think we made like. You know who we left off last week when we were talking about the 26-man? We left off Suarez, who was dominant in this. Well,
they left him off too. He's not on it.
No. I know, but I said we didn't even talk about him as an option.
Yeah, I just didn't think they were going to.
Down to a last day cut with him, maybe.
I just didn't think they were going to try and open up another 40-man spot, and they didn't because that would have been tough.
Correct. Correct. And they don't have to. He can be at Memphis.
So before spring training started, we gave our predictions. And I said, and you echoed it. We had the same prediction. I said I didn't want to be on the wrong side of history when it comes to Jordan Walker. So I'm saying he's making the team. And he did. He did not make the team the way I thought he was going to make the team. He was great the first couple of weeks. Don't get me wrong. He was OPSing over 1,000. He looked like one of the best hitters in the world at the time. He really struggled and brought his OPS down to 800, which is still obviously good. Those are not gaudy spring training numbers, right? Like that's not an ungodly spring training that he had. And I thought he was going to have that to get on the team. But I also said that I believed that they were looking for a reason to put him on the roster and not the vice versa, where they're looking for a reason to send him down to Memphis. I think the fact that they stuck with him when it would have been so easy and honestly fair, I would say, to have said, okay, kid, you're going down to AAA. We'll call you up in a month. I think it confirmed that they were really ready to get Jordan Walker on this team.
Yeah, I almost think the decision was made no matter what he would have done, unless he would have absolutely looked overmatched. Like, I mean, absolutely been terrible. And even then, it just feels like, again, and you and I've talked about it on here. I don't know how much stock to put into spring training stats. We get so excited when they're doing great. And then all it's like for 2 weeks, oh my God, he's going to be hitting in the middle of the lineup for the Cardinals. Then the next 2 weeks, we're talking about, oh, he probably should be at AAA. I think both are wrong. Like, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. And that's what I was trying to say last week was, I don't know. And that's me. I'm not saying anybody's wrong for thinking either. I'm saying I don't know personally how to take stocks. Like, people were talking about, everybody wants to go on about Kisner and this terrible spring training. Edmundo Sosa a couple years ago had 0 hits. Like,
one. He had one was the last day.
At the last game. Sorry, he got one in the last game. So I just don't know where you put all of that. Like, people like to bury people when it matches their idea, and people like to like put you on a mountain when it matches your idea. I think Walker was on the opening day roster the day he walked into spring training camp. I really, truly kind of believe that now.
I think he was on the opening day roster the day he got a hit off of Garrett Cole.
Okay.
That's when I think they thought, and I'm not saying I'm right. I could be wrong. Like,
no,
don't.
Right. We will never.
This is my Ollie Mo in their head. This is what I think they were thinking. Oh, he can handle it. You know, like, oh, he can handle guys that aren't Johnny Cueto. No offense to Johnny Cueto, but he can get a hit off of Garrett Cole. He can adjust, and then the next at bat hit a slider off of Greg Weissert for a single. Like, he can do these things. I think at the end of the day, what it came down to for me and why I believe the entire time he should be on the roster, even though, like I said, I would have understood if he wasn't because he was struggling. The reason I say that is, I think that is because, well, when a better time than now? Like, when is a better time than now to find out? He's facing the Blue Jays and the Braves the first week. Like, you got to find out what he's got in him. But also, like, you can hide him now in a lineup, right? You can hide him when this lineup's at its peak, which it is right now, and he's going to be batting 7th. And while, yes, the pressure is going to be on him because he's 20 years old and he's in the major leagues, that comes with pressure no matter what. The pressure is not going to be on only him. In fact, most of it's not going to be on him. There's 8 other guys that are fully capable in that lineup of carrying an offense at any point in time. But also, like, he's going to be batting 7th. 7th is what he's going to be batting if yesterday's lineup was any indication, which, like, that's perfect for him, right? Like, that's a perfect spot to put him.
And don't quote me on this because I did not go back and look at it. But if I remember right, like, J-Rod was hitting like 6th or 7th on opening day for the Mariners last year. I'm not saying they're the same guy. And then what they did after he really struggled and kind of had a couple of good hits, they moved him up to the leadoff spot and he took off. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do with Jordan. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you never know. But you're right, with this lineup, all you need is 2 or 3 hitting at a time, and the lineup can roll. And do you think that the struggles of Juan Yepez had something that like was the final? It makes it way easier for the Cardinals to leave camp with Walker? Or do you think, let me say that also the draft pick being tied to a guy who potentially could win Rookie of the Year also played into that situation, which we've talked about?
I think they were in the same line of thinking that I was in with the draft pick. Let's just go with that. That if Jordan Walker comes up in May, right, even if that's the case, and he's down a month, he's still probably going to get in the top 3 of Rookie of the Year. Like, let's be honest. If he does anywhere close to what he can do, he's going to be a top rookie. Like, it's just going to be the case. And then it's like, well, why did we waste that opportunity? But Juan Yepez, man, it really sucks that Juan Yepez isn't on the roster.
It does.
I told you our last episode, my brain was telling me Alec Burleson was going to be the guy. But then my heart was like, well, it's Juan Yepez, and I want Juan Yepez on this roster. So I chose to go that way. Good for Burleson, by the way. But I don't think Yepez was even that bad. He just didn't impress. He was really bad defensively. He was not good in the outfield. But also, like, if you're going to have Taylor Motter on here and you're going to have, Alec Burleson play a lot of first base, which he has been, Juan Yepez's role is kind of like it's up in the air. And I'm assuming they're going to want to play all 4 of their outfielders, including Carlson, against lefties. So it kind of was like, what do we do with Yepez? Like, at that point, it kind of got that to he's just going to have to go down, and it sucks.
Yeah, I feel terrible. I mean, it's baseball. It's a business. It's the way it is. I feel terrible for him. Like, I also just think, and I talked about this last time, I want my best 25, right? I discounted the backup catcher. I know you hate that, but it's true.
Because that's still not true. Because Taylor Motter is not one of the best 25 players in the organization.
Okay. You didn't let me make the point that I was going to make, which was exactly what you just said, that you stepped all over. Like, in my opinion, how much are you honestly going to use Taylor Motter at shortstop? To where is he more valuable as a right-handed bat in that lineup than Juan Yepez? Is that an actual legit question for me to ask? Or is it, Yepez, we want you to go down and get every day at bats at Memphis, instead of sitting on the bench when we might use you for 2 at-bats a week. But Taylor Motter, no offense, Taylor, we're happy for you. I am incredibly ecstatic for him. 33-year-old making the opening day roster for the Cardinals, 400 career bats. That's incredible. Or is it, if Taylor Motter stays up here, we can afford him being on our bench if he gets 2 to 5 at-bats a week. We're okay with that instead of Juan Yepez, who we'd like to go ahead and continue to develop. Is that a valid way to look at it?
It's a valid question, but then it brings into question how Alec Burleson, how many bats is he going to get? Because wouldn't that be the same category? Like,
Yes.
to me, it was Burleson or Yepez.
Yes.
That's who it was, probably. And Burleson won. Like, he did. He's smoking the ball lately. So, I don't know. I think, like we've said this before, opening day roster, they're fun to talk about, fun conversations, especially when you have a guy like Jordan Walker trying to make the team. At the end of the day, like, you're looking at a situation where Juan Yepez could be up in 2 weeks. Right? Like, there could be
Correct.
a situation where now Juan Yepez is up. I don't know what that situation would be, but I mean, I would bet that Juan Yepez by the end of May will have multiple at-bats in the big leagues, right? Like, I will assume that will probably happen.
Well,
so I don't
'cause
know.
I drafted him in fantasy today.
Yeah, so
I also took Burleson, by the way.
I'm pissed off too. I have to have Jordan Walker as my DH because I have Alex Bregman and they don't have him as an outfielder. Bullshit.
Oh, anyway, I am incredibly pumped for Walker. Here's what I hope. Let me say this. I hope that the Cardinal fans who have, not as a whole, I hope the faction who wanted to ship Nolan Gorman after he struggled as a 23-year-old don't start running their mouths at Jordan Walker struggles. Guys, it is the big leagues. It is the show. People struggle. At 20 years old, Jordan Walker is going to struggle either at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. It's going to happen. It doesn't mean his career is done. It doesn't mean he's a bust. If the people start getting loud that did it about Gorman, it's the most embarrassing thing I've read, and I hope that does not happen because these guys hear this stuff, whether you think so or not. And you, who has played MLB The Show, not you personally, does not mean you know how to run an organization. So maybe let's show a little more understanding of the game of baseball.
It's also the thing. Yeah, I agree with all of that. He's 20 years old. Like, he should come up and suck. He should.
Right.
But the reason he's so special is because he probably won't. But
Right.
if he does, you should be like, yeah, it probably should have happened. Go give it some more time and get better, and then you'll be back up. But the thing that, you know why people are doing this, and this is really starting to piss me off, and it's really making me angry. And I don't like calling people out, but I am tired of seeing certain writers in St. Louis bringing up Albert Pujols and Jordan Walker in the same sentence.
I know.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop it. That is not good for Albert, because Jordan Walker could be the greatest outfielder the Cardinals have ever produced themselves, besides Stan Musial, the second greatest outfielder ever produced. And he still couldn't even touch Albert Pujols. That's how good Albert Pujols was. Like, he's not going to hit 700 home runs. He's not.
Well,
so stop it. Stop. It's so
kidding.
annoying.
I was a joke. I'm
because
kidding.
Like, why does it matter that he's not the only, like, Jordan Walker? Yeah, Albert Pujols was the last guy that forced his way onto the roster. Okay, how many people forced their way into the roster this year? Anthony Volpe did it. Like, this kid from Chicago did it. There's gonna be more. Guess how many of them are gonna be Albert Pujols? None of them. So
and
shut
here's
the
the
fuck
thing.
up about it.
Here's what these guys I think don't realize: the ones who do have a platform and a voice, bigger than ours, to be honest with you, but not as good. I won't say that, but you know what I'm saying.
I mean, if you're saying this,
yeah, not as good. But the point is, right? What they don't, it feels like they're saying all of this stuff for clicks and hypes and likes and impressions. All right. What they don't realize is now that there are a lot of faction of the Cardinals who are going to read their article. And now if Jordan Walker does not become Albert Pujols, doesn't hit 500, like whatever that level you want to look at, they're going to consider him a bust and they should get rid of him. I mean, it's going to happen. I still can't believe there's people trying to get rid of Nolan Gorman right now. Like, that is going on still. And I don't know what else to say. Guys, we're not going to field an offensive lineup of 9 all-stars. All right. I'm not saying Nolan Gorman's not going to be an all-star, but you know what I mean?
This is as close to that as we've ever had.
It's one of the best lineups I can remember
1 through 9,
since the MV3 years.
Tommy Edman could be an all-star, and he's better. Right. So I don't know. Like, and also let's get back to Nolan Gorman in a second, because I want to say something about him, because his spring has been really, really good and the whole time. But yeah, it's just so frustrating. And I'm not gonna call out who it is. Like, Joe, just go on the internet.
You'll find
go on
him.
Twitter. Look up Jordan Walker, and this guy will have 25 tweets about him today because he has like a crush on him. I think he's more of a fan than he is a journalist at this point.
Fanboy.
But the thing that like I'm going into journalism. I understand why people want to get clicks. It helps you get paid. I get that. But at the same time, like you're damaging somebody. Like there's no reason to. Derek Gould is someone I respect more than almost anybody that
Same.
writes about sports because he does not do that ever. He
No.
gives you the facts of it. Yes,
Yep.
Albert Pujols was a special prospect. Yes, Jordan Walker is a very special prospect. We're talking different tiers of like baseball player here. Mike Trout is incredible. That doesn't mean every single prospect that comes up for the Angels should be compared to Mike Trout. Like,
Right.
it's impossible to do. And Jordan Walker could end up being a Hall of Famer, let's say. Let's say that's the best, obviously the best outcome possible is him becoming a Hall of Famer that plays for the Cardinals his whole career. Awesome. He could do that and still not be as good as Albert Pujols. Like, so can we please stop? You're talking about one of the 10 best players of all time. Do they realize this?
Yeah. And Pujols, also to be fair, it's not a big difference, but he was 21 when he came up. Walker's 20. And I
It's
guess
not even just that. Like,
I know
he's
he'll be
Albert
21 soon,
Pujols.
but I know.
He's the best
It
player
does.
of my lifetime.
Yes. Yeah.
Him and Mike
It
Trout,
does drive you
those
crazy.
two.
Let's talk about Gorman a little bit. Had an incredible spring, has done everything, looks better, looks like not better. He's always looked like every time I've seen him, that dude can play
checking
every
him
sport
out?
probably. But I mean, he just looks more confident. That's kind of what I should say. He looks more confident. He appears when I've watched, you can just tell he's like, it's a different Nolan Gorman. He appears to have done everything they asked. We've talked on here before, and we've read and we've heard from players, coaches, everybody. He almost works too hard at times, and he's almost in the cage too often, which sounds so funny to say, but there are times you can almost paralysis by analysis, right? But he looks so good, and I am really hoping that translates over into the regular season because this dude deserves a full season of at bats, and let's just see what he can do.
Yeah, I think with him, he looks awesome in the field. By the way, like at second base, he made another great double play turn 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. He's looked great. He's been playing a lot of third base, which is awesome, by the way. Thank you. He should be playing some third base because he was a third baseman. So let's get Nolan Gorman moving around and let's not let him be a DH every day. I like that they're doing that. His bat looks good. And the high fastball talks talked about a lot. Yes, he struggled with the high fastball. I never really thought that's because his swing couldn't hit a high fastball. I always thought it was more because his approach was not good. Like they would start. The problem with him has always been they find a hole, he closes that hole, but then he creates another one by closing that.
Right.
So he'll get to high fastballs, and now he's susceptible to changeups and curveballs low in the zone, which is what he normally kills. So I still want to see how his new adjustments play out because I still don't know. Like we'll see, and we'll know soon because people are going to be they're facing some good pitching the first couple of weeks. But he looks like he's done everything he could have possibly done to put himself in the best position to be successful. And it looks like if you read into the lines they've been putting out there, it's rewarded him, and he's probably going to be starting on opening day against Alek Manoah, batting eighth. I don't understand what's going on here.
We're going to talk about the lineup here in a second, so let's not get into that yet.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I know.
Are we talking about that on this podcast?
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
we
cool.
are.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a minute.
But yeah, I love
the other guy that I wanted to give a big shout out to was, well, obviously we talked about Mater, super geeked for him. I'm super geeked for Alec Burleson too, and I know you said it earlier, but he really had a good sprint, especially came on at the end, really looked good. I just don't know what you do with 5 outfielders.
I think what he's gonna play a lot of first base.
Okay, a lot. Like tell me a lot. Like Paul Goldschmidt's going to play a lot of first base.
He might play the second most games at first base on the team.
Over Contreras?
Contreras doesn't play first base. You keep saying this. He's not playing first base. If Contreras isn't catching, it's to DH. That's why they're going to do it. So, yes, they're not going to just sneak Kisner in the lineup just to do that. No, they're not doing that. He's going to DH if he's not catching. But Burleson, to me, I think what they might do, because the thing they always said last year was they love how good of an at-bat he's going to give you against tough righties. And like the elite righties. They think he can always be in and have a chance to get a hit off those guys. If there's a guy where I love Nolan Gorman, I want him to play as much as possible. But if it's like, let's say, Justin Verlander, And they're like, well, Justin Verlander is probably going to be not a great matchup for Nolan Gorman. Maybe that's when they say, okay, we're going to give Alec Burleson these at-bats. Maybe
fair.
that's where you play the matchups. Now, I would want to have Gorman in it as much as possible to get him ready for the playoffs when that's who you're going to be seeing. But I do think there's going to be a way for them to do that with Burleson and give him a lot of at-bats. And it's also going to be able, you're going to be able to not overextend Tyler O'Neill by playing him every day. You're not going to have to play Jordan Walker every single day. Like he's going to be able to play 5 times a week. You can put Burleson in left field. You can put him at first base. You can do a lot of different things with him, but he gives you a lot of flexibility. And also, if there's an at bat that maybe Jordan Walker or somebody, any right-handed hitter, I guess, is up and it's a really tough reliever, well, then you have a pinch hit option for Alec Burleson to come in. So it's a lot of flexibility they've gotten with Alec Burleson.
I think the other thing you can look at too is we know that Tommy has struggled from the left side, right? So if you are facing, let's say it's a Verlander type, and it's not going to be on opening day with Manoah, who, by the way, stud, big Alek Manoah fan. Can't wait to watch him pitch, but do hope we light his ass up. Let's be honest.
He gets crushed.
Right. Yeah. However, you could put there is a world where Donovan's at short, Nolan's at second, and Burleson is your DH. Like that you could see that. Do you know what I mean? Like that is
just
obviously
gives them
an
options.
Option. Correct.
Like we'll
and
see.
I think that's good.
Like I personally, if there's ever a big game, Tommy Edman's not playing in it. Like he's
no. I understand, but throughout the season, you need he's not gonna play every day.
Or it could just be as simple as, oh, hey, we don't like this matchup for Tommy, so he's sitting, or we don't like this reliever against Tommy, so here comes Burleson. They've got options. They've got a lot of flexibility. I like that every player on their team, it seems like, can play multiple positions. Like obviously Nolan and Goldie aren't going to, and Wilson. Those guys are going to play their 3 positions every day. But everyone else, like they can move all over, all of them.
Absolutely. And you and I've talked about this since after the Wilson, really with the Wilson signing, the flexibility that Ollie has. I mean, that is a manager's dream. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'd much rather just have the 9 that I can put in there. That's not 2023 baseball. That's 1980s baseball. Yeah. And also not a lot of guys manage that way anymore, you know, because if you're going to have these rosters, you're going to need to use the guys. We saw Tony do it forever. He kept guys fresh by giving them Thursdays and Sundays. He did. I mean, and it helped when they got to the playoffs, and then he would ride the hot hand.
Tony, not exactly a good choice to talk about modern day managing, because we know he's.
I'm talking about when he was here. When he was here, not when he was in Chicago. When he was here, we saw it. Another thing, not only does St. Louis have maybe the deepest team, let's talk a little bit, and we haven't talked about the pitchers yet. But I mean, how about that Memphis lineup? I assume Kramer Robertson's going to play second base for them. I mean, you're going to have Mason at short. I don't know who's going to play third down there, but you're going to have Yepez in that lineup. You're going to have Mercado in that lineup. You're going to have who else am I missing down there? Kaperniak in that lineup. I mean, you're going to have Herrera in that lineup.
Yeah, it's a really good team, and it's a lot of depth to pull from. Guys, we need to talk about Mason Winn probably, by the way, but a lot of guys down there that are going to be capable and going to be options if you need them. The thing that's crazy is, man, like they have so much talent on the big league roster that it's just like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a team, the Cardinal team, with this much offensive potential.
No,
like it could be. I'm not saying it will be. Odds are it won't be, but it could be the best in baseball. It legitimately could be.
I think it's going to be do. The
odds are that it won't be the best in baseball. Like
That's true.
If you told me take the Cardinals or the field, I'm taking the field on the betting line. Okay.
With the roster, here's your pitchers, and then I'll let you take it from there. And
before we get to pitchers, Mason Winn, I want to say something.
Okay, that's fine.
Mason Winn, awesome game yesterday again. He hit a triple that has no business being a triple. That should be a double for everyone. He made a great double play. He was probably the most impressive player to me in spring, because I expected Jordan to be a beast. I expected Nolan Gorman to come back and probably be a little bit better. I didn't expect Mason Winn to come in looking like he's ready to play shortstop, which he does look like that right now, by the way. But also the coolest thing to me was his story when he found out they were on a bus back to Jupiter from the game they were playing last night. When he found out Jordan made the team, and he said he screamed up and started cursing, like punching the seat, because he was so happy for him. And that's awesome to me. Like to have those two guys, not only are they both incredibly talented and 20 years old, actually Mason just turned 21. Not only do they have all that going for them, they're like best friends, which like that's going to be an awesome duo to watch for a long time if they can both sustain success in the big leagues.
With the flexibility we've talked about, let me just ask you this question. Do you think if Mason continues, right? Like he just takes the spring and goes right into AAA and sort of picks up with what he's been doing. I mean, at some point you have to start having the discussion that he's going to force his way onto this big league roster. And I know it's really easy to say, oh, you just keep him down there and let him develop. But if he's doing, I'm not saying the home run wise, but if he's looking like what Nolan Gorman did last year for the first 2 months, after what we just saw in the spring, unless everyone else, I mean, I don't know how you don't bring him up and say, we're just going to rotate like you can play him at second base if you need to on certain days.
That would just limit his potential.
I understand that. I'm just saying this is what I guess I'm asking you. What do you do if he continues to do what we've seen him do?
It's so interesting because I think Mason Winn does everything Tommy Edman does well, just about as well. He's a great fielder. He runs fast. He can steal bases. He's very smart. He does all those things that Tommy Edman, we've talked about a lot, does very well. But I think he has more offensive potential than Tommy Edman. Now, that's just potential. With Tommy at this point, we know what Tommy Edman is. Like, he is a really, really great baseball player. So I don't know. It's going to be tougher to make the team. It's not as easy as it was for Jordan Walker for him.
I think we know that right now, Tommy Edman's floor higher. But I think that there is no argument that Mason Winn's ceiling is leaps and bounds above. And this is not a shot at Tommy Edman. I think Mason Winn's ceiling is leaps and bounds above a lot of other fuckers in the major leagues.
Most.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to go up to Memphis a couple times and go to some games and watch him play. I mean, it's only a 4.5 hour drive from here. So I think I'd like to do that.
The thing that sucks for him is I would say he earned a roster spot.
He did.
He did.
You could make the argument he earned it over Walker. Like you could make that argument.
I wouldn't make that argument, but you could.
But if you look at the stats.
If you wanted to make that argument, yes. But obviously, shortstop, outfield, different things, right?
Agreed.
So,
but I guess what I'm saying is you could make the argument with us carrying 5 outfielders that you eliminate Taylor. I mean, I'm just saying you can make the argument.
Let's not do that. Let's not go down that road. You could, but you won't. He also doesn't have the track record of Jordan Walker being a beast in Double-A. Like he doesn't.
All right, so let's look at the roster. Obviously, we knew who the starters were going to be. We got Flaherty, we got Miles, we got Matsy, we got Monty, we got Woodford. That's going to be your starters.
Oh, important thing to talk about, by the way. Miles Mikolas got extended. We didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah, shout out Miles.
Yeah, Miles.
Why did you not start off with that instead of the Taylor Motter joke?
Because I told you, remember, hold on. I told you that Miles Mikolas was going to get extended. That's why I didn't start.
You did. Oh, here we go.
It was obvious. Well, it's true. If you were paying attention at all, you knew Miles Mikolas was getting extended. I'm sorry. He was, and it happened. 2 years, $40 million was the deal, but they did some salary manipulation. It ends up being like 2 years, 16 a year for the next 2, which is a great deal for Miles and for the Cardinals. So I'm happy about that. He's starting opening day as well, so we should talk about that. We all expected that. I'm not happy Wainwright's injured, but Miles Mikolas should have gotten that start anyway. I said that last time we were on here. I thought Miles earned that start last year, so I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for the Cardinals because we have now at least 40% of a rotation for next year. So yeah, that's good. But I'd like to get some more.
I am bummed that Waino's not going to get the opening day ovation that he deserves. I am bummed about that.
Well, he'll be there, I would assume.
Obviously, I'm just talking about walking out to the mountain and then the walk. That's all I'm talking about. But I'm psyched for Miles, and I like the rotation the way it sets up.
Woodford's in the rotation now, so that's the thing. For me, I'm sad for Waino. Part of me was a little relieved because I did kind of feel like the Blue Jays might stick it to him, and we were going to spend a lot of money to watch a bad game. But I am sad for Waino. I didn't want that to happen. I would have gladly taken the loss if that meant Waino was able to be healthy. Okay. Yeah. But Woodford being in the rotation. We need to talk about Jack in a second too. But Woodford being in the rotation, great for him. Like he definitely earned that spot. I hope he runs with it. My hope is that he makes it hard on the Cardinals to take him out whenever Wainwright comes back from the IL. I hope he makes it really difficult. That's my hope for him.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Maybe at that point, you want to say about Jack? 6-man. He looked horrible today.
Yeah,
really bad. I don't know, but he's got to figure it out. Like he's got to figure it out. I've been relaxed about up until this start. This is the one where it's time to get ready. This is your last start. You're pitching on Saturday, game 2. I am still a big believer in Jack, and I think he's going to have a great year. Because I believe in him as a person. I believe in his ability. And combine that together, that means I believe in him as a player. but he's got to do it. Like this is I think it's so important for him to go out and have at least a good start next Saturday. Like it's so important for him. He's got to start the season off right, not like he did when he came back from his injury last year and he was bad. Not like he did when he came back and got re-injured. Like he's got to figure it out. Like he's got to do it now.
I agree.
For him, by the way, for his future, not just with the Cardinals, in baseball. Like he's had a lot of money's on the line for Jack Flaherty this year, and he knows that. And for his sake and for the team's sake, I really hope he figures it out.
Agreed 100. Let's get to the bullpen a little bit. We nailed the back end with Gallegos, Helsley, and Hicks. We kind of had that idea. Obviously, Zach Thompson, no doubt about that. Now, we talked about Palante. You had said you really thought he had earned it, and I think I agreed with that. I was concerned they might send him to Memphis to get him to start. Huh?
I think they would have if Waino and Wilking didn't get hurt.
I think you're probably right on that, but he's on there. We talked about Verhagen. We knew that. Packy and Stratton, give me your thoughts on that.
Packy got one out today and gave up 5 runs. So
I just don't understand it.
Packy seems like a good dude, and he seems like a guy that will do anything to win for your team. Problem is, one, he can't get righties out ever. So you really he has to be ending an inning against a lefty, or it has to be 3 lefties coming up, or you just can't use him. They bet like over 400 against him last year. Like that's how bad he was against righties. And Stratton, I'm fine with. He has an ability that is very valuable where he has like a rubber arm. He can pitch every single day for you. Like that is very valuable. So I was okay with Stratton making the team. I just personally would have chosen someone over him. But with the injury to Wilking and Waino, I would have probably had Stratton on my
I think that's fair.
Bullpen.
Yeah.
But Packy, I just don't get why you don't bring Genesis Cabrera. And I'm not saying that Genesis Cabrera has done everything to earn the spot. Like he hasn't. But I do think when you're just looking at straight potential and stuff, like Cabrera's better than Packy Naughton, even with his
agreed. Do you think they still are sort of like butthurt about Genesis Cabrera?
No, because I don't think that's how Ali Marmol goes.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
If it was Schilt or Matheny, I would have said yeah. I probably would have said yes. But Ali, he's grown up. He's been with Genesis Cabrera for a long, long time. Like he was with him in the minor leagues. He's got him to the major leagues. He was obviously the bench coach when Genesis came up to the major leagues. They have a pretty good relationship from what Ali has said. So I don't think so. I do think though Genesis Cabrera has not done himself any favors to get to get a spot when maybe he hasn't fully earned it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, elite talent. We know that. Elite arm.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you go back to hitting Bryce Harper? Like, do you think?
No, because he was great the rest of that year. You know who I go back to? I was anti-firing Mike Schilt. The farther we are removed from it, the more I realized that guy was one of the more incompetent managers we've ever had.
Yes. Yeah.
He ruined Alex Reyes' career as a Cardinal. I thank God Gio bounced back last year.
Yeah.
But remember, he had some fatigue for a long time last year.
Yeah.
And he ruined Genesis Cabrera. He's now lost 4 miles per hour on his fastball. Like, I'm a firm belief if they would have handled those two and include Gio, like Ollie handled Gio and Helsley last year, where they weren't pitching when they were down in games. They weren't pitching back to back all that often to start the year. I think Alex Reyes is probably still a Cardinal. I think Genesis Cabrera is probably still in the bullpen right now. And I think Gio probably wouldn't have struggled last year. Like there's so many things that bother me about the way Mike Schilt managed the bullpen in 2021. And I think we're still seeing the effects of it.
Yeah, I think you have to throw some Mike Maddox into that too, I guess, right? I mean, he was the pitching coach.
I guess, but at the same time, Mike Maddox was there last year and they didn't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Okay, before we get out of here, let's transition to the lineup because this is where you know me, former coach. I absolutely love making out lineups.
It's disgusting.
It's annoying how much I enjoy putting together lineups.
I do too. That's why I love that. That's why I love MLB The Show so much because I get to
put together lineups. I love playing those games as a kid too, switching up the lineup. Yeah, absolutely.
I get to decide whether I'm batting Babe Ruth fourth or King Griffey fourth. That's why I like playing that game.
Do you agree Donovan's going to be your leadoff guy, especially against righties?
I think we've seen the lineup already.
So who do you think's hitting second?
Lars Nootbaar.
Okay, now let me say you have been when in the past when I have said you go Donnie and Nootbaar, you have not liked that because you don't like the two lefties being exposed right there with Tommy Edman down at the bottom because who also struggles against righties. No, lefties.
Yeah, so he struggles against righties.
There you go. So here's what I'm saying. Okay. You had said earlier in the show, if you're going to bat Nolan Gorman 8th, you're really setting yourself up if Donovan and Noop are 1-2 to put yourself in a world of hurt with a tough lefty. That's what I'm saying. Now, obviously, you have some flexibility there, but what are your thoughts on that? If I were to play
My
devil's
thoughts are
advocate?
I don't like it. I really don't. I get it because those two get on base so much. So from that perspective, I do understand why they're doing it. But if it were me, there's multiple problems this creates, in my opinion. One, like you just said, I don't like the fact that it's going to be an opportunity late in the game to go, oh, Gorman's coming up, so we're definitely bringing in a lefty, and the other two guys coming up, like those are also lefties after Tommy. Because to me, one, I would like to keep it to where Nolan Gorman faces as many righties as possible. So I would have someone that destroys lefties behind him, which is Tommy Edman, because he does do that. But then you have the two guys after him, which negates all of that to me. So the way, and also it creates another problem. Look at the middle of the lineup. It goes from from 3 now down to 7. All of those guys are right-handed now, right? So what I would do is Tyler O'Neill would be batting second to start.
Agreed. That's what I was going to say.
And I would have Lars Nootbaar or Donovan batting sixth and the other one batting first.
I agree with that 100%.
And then I think later down the line, if Nolan Gorman's doing what we think he can do, maybe you slot him up to 5th and move Contreras down to 6th. I don't know.
Yeah, or up to 6th. And like, I mean, it seems like Ali has said like 3, 4, 5 pretty well.
Yeah, like, but I hope he's willing to be flexible. Like, but I do think it doesn't really make any sense to me. You know, like they went into playoffs because they didn't like that because they knew it'd be too easy to pitch to. So they moved Donovan down to 5, if we remember correctly.
Correct.
If you didn't like it then, why do you like it now?
Yeah, I agree. And I guess the argument against it would be, well, now you're saying you have 4 straight right-handers or 5, whatever.
Well, now we have 6.
No, I know that's what I was going to say. And also, yeah, but 2 of them are Goldschmidt and Arenado, and the third one is Wilson Contreras. So let's relax on that. All right.
Sure.
That's what I would do. Or also, let's be honest. The other thing that I think I would really, really look at is moving Paul Goldschmidt to the 2 slot and putting Tyler O'Neill back in that 3 hole where we saw him post top 10 MVP year.
Yeah, I understand your sentiment, but after what Goldie and Nolan just did in the 3-4 hole,
you're not
touching them.
Yeah, and I understand that. I'm just simply saying you and I have come on here a lot looking for Tyler O'Neill to be that next guy. Like we saw him do that in that slot. That's all I'm saying. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you. I think you're right, and I think that's what they'll do. I'm just letting you know that's not a bad idea.
I don't think that's what they're gonna do. And here's the problem I have. If you have a lineup, like they have a good balance for maybe the first time ever, like that I've been alive, of lefties and righties, where they have a switch hitter. If Carlson's in, then they have 2 switch hitters, and they've got 2 lefties and Donovan and Nootbaar that both can hit left-handed pitching, so they can be in there as much as you want them in there. And you obviously have Gorman, who's also left-handed. You should make this. Your goal should be to make this lineup as hard to pitch to as possible. It's hard to find lanes or find, what reliever comes in here. What I would love is, okay, Donovan's up. Or hey, like you started the A spot, like we just said, and it's Gorman. Okay, well, let's bring in a lefty because we know Gorman can't hit that well against lefties. Well, then you're like, oh, well, then they're just going to take him out for Dylan Carlson. And then you got Tommy Edman, and then you got Donovan who hits lefties well. And then, oh shit, there's Tyler O'Neill sitting there. So now we're not doing that. So that's going to maximize Gorman's potential. I don't like this construction. I get it though, because both of those guys are 370 OBP guys.
Correct.
Get on in front of your 5 masters now, like in the middle of your order. Or I guess I'll say 4 because I don't include Contreras in that yet. I don't know though. I think he'll be flexible. He'll adjust it if it needs adjusted.
Yeah.
But I think the number 2 spot belongs to Nootbaar as of right now.
Do you also look at the consideration of hitting Gorman 7 and Walker 8, which then splits those 2 up, which at least gives you another lefty? You know what I'm saying? Like at the 7 slot, and now you've got a little break up there, which would discourage people to bring in a lefty until they got to Donovan, who, by the way, has very good splits against left-handers. So do you see what I'm saying? Like that would be to me as a coach, that would be something I would really maybe look at is hit Gorman 7. Let's take a little more pressure off of Jordan Walker and hit him 8. That's all I'm thinking.
That's interesting. I probably go a step farther and I'd probably bet Gorman 6. That because Tyler O'Neill destroys left-handed pitching. He always has.
Correct.
Jordan Walker, small sample size. He's always been good against left-handed pitching. Small sample size, but in spring training, he really did not hit well against left-handed pitching. He was pretty bad actually against it, which doesn't mean much in terms of how he's going to produce, but it might mean a little bit in terms of how teams attack them, which would be to bring a lefty in that lane, which I'd like to stop them from if I can get Gorman that at bat. So I don't know. I might bet Gorman 6th and then have, okay, here's a Neil Walker, Neil Walker, Edmund to the
Edmund,
bottom of the
yeah.
lineup. By the way, like we're splitting hairs at this point.
We are.
We'll
We
see
are.
how
I'm
it
just
goes.
saying that I think you've got some options there.
I think you got a lot of options, and I think the
Yeah.
great thing about Ollie, he will explore those options. He's not going to say, "This is my 1 through 9. I'm not moving." He will change it.
Correct. Yes.
So we'll see how it plays out. If it's working and they're all hitting, because let's be honest, the best the Cardinals looked last year was with Donovan and Newbar 1 and 2, and Tommy
Yeah.
Ryan. So that was
both
the best
guys
they
who
looked
do
all
hit
year.
lefties well, by the way.
Yeah, they do. So that's the best they looked all year. So if he can rekindle that magic and they start hitting well and it's going great, I'm not gonna have any problem with it.
Is it always odd to you how nobody blinks an eye about two right-handers hitting back to back, but people freak out about lefties hitting back to back? Like, I understand you grow up facing way more right-handers pitching. I understand that. I'm just saying, like, you were at the highest level. Lars Newbar and Brent Donovan have faced a lot of lefties in their lives. You know what I mean? Like, a lot. But we wouldn't blink an eye if you had 1-2 righties. Like, it's just weird to me.
It's not weird because the numbers back it up that lefties struggle way more against lefties than righties do against righties.
Is it why still coaches are teaching kids to yell lefty as if no one understood that the kid hitting was in the left-handed batter's box?
Well, no, those people are stupid, as well as the people that tell their kids to shift 10-year-olds.
Or hey, watch for the bunt. Well, shouldn't they be playing baseball? Shouldn't they be watching for everything?
The first time I ever shifted in my life was in high school, my freshman year. And that's the only. And if you're shifting anybody saying lefty, everyone move over because there's a freaking 10-year-old who's left-handed.
Thing. Even at the high school level, Caleb. Even it's the dumbest thing.
Well, that's
ever.
different. I mean, we were actually playing for something though. I was playing for a regional title at that point. Like
Correct.
That was when I was at varsity. I wasn't doing it when I was a freshman on the freshman team. It was when I moved up. That's when I did it, like, against Edwardsville, I think. So it was a big game at least. But if you're taking this 10-year-old's base hit up the middle away, please stop. Please don't do that. Don't ever do that.
It just kills me. I got former players who still reach out to me and they're like, that's like, I just heard it the other day. No, but like somebody said Leo lefty, like as if your players don't realize they're in the left-handed batter's box. And if every 10-year-old is a pull hitter, right, as a lefty, they have to be. That's what your assumption is.
Yeah.
Youth baseball, bro.
Youth baseball. Well, I appreciate all the time parents spend going out there and doing that. It's not easy. You did it a lot, so I won't like judge them for that, but I will judge them if they don't know anything. So
that's my problem. Also, since we are in the time period, if you are a youth baseball coach, one, thank you for your time. But since we are in that time period of March and April where the winds blow hard and the weather's not really warm, guys, if you are coaching, I don't care what at level, please have your guys with long sleeves on, especially if they're going to pitch. Like, please.
Always.
Agreed. If it's, my rule was under 75, but whatever your rule, but if you're in the 50s and 60s at night, there was nothing that drove me crazy than driving by youth baseball fields at 7:00 at night. It's 48 degrees. Kids are out there in short sleeves pitching on the bump. Like, guys, take care of your players' elbows. Like, that's the only one they get, and take care of their shoulders. And let's start building good, like, baseball stuff. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you like, I almost wonder, like a guy like Justin Verlander, like he had to have had such great support and knowledge and like people telling him how to take care of his arm to be able to pitch this long. There are some guys in the big leagues that I'm sure would tell you that they wish that they would have taken care of their arms more when they were younger because their careers might have been better or longer. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of problems.
Like, and that starts at 10 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old. It really does. Like, people think, oh, well, that's silly. Doesn't start till you get to high school. That's not true. It starts there.
No, it's actually more important there because your arm's still growing.
Yeah. Okay. Enough of that. One guy we didn't talk about, who I think right now is the guy that is sort of caught in the crosshairs, is Dylan Carlson. I think with Jordan Walker making the team, with Alec Burleson making the team, you've got Newt, you've got O'Neill, you've kept 5 outfielders, which we're sort of surprised about, to be honest. Where do you see them utilize? And we've talked about there's enough at bats throughout the week, but to be fair, it should set up for Dylan Carlson to be in the opening day lineup against Alek Manoah.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be.
That's not what I said. I'm saying maybe should be. He's had a really good spring also, by the way. You okay there? Somebody come breaking into your
No, what happened was my
room?
computer was about to die, but I didn't have my brick, so I plugged it into my PlayStation, and I think my PlayStation just turned off, so I'd turn it back on in a second. But I don't know what this means for Dylan Carlson. All I know is I feel for him. Like let's be honest, it means that they don't think he's their starting outfielder anymore.
Yes.
That's what it means. And that now whether or not he's going to play more than we think or more than we can reasonably, I don't know. Like Newbar's going to play every day against righties, let's say. Tyler O'Neill is going to play every day because they know what that guy can do. And let's be honest, it's his last chance because he only has 2 years of time left. So he's got to play every day and see what you got in him. Jordan Walker, if he's up here, which he is, now we know that for sure, he's playing every day. So I don't know. I don't know what it means for Dylan
me
Carlson.
neither.
I know it means that like in the eyes of the organization, he might be expendable now. Now, whether or not you agree with that, I personally don't know if I do, but I do know that if he's not playing every day, he might have more value to somebody else than he does to you.
Yeah, it does beg the question, and I've seen this brought up by a couple of people I respect on the line. There aren't a lot of them, but there are some. That it does beg the question of the organization's handling with a lot of young guys. I'm not bashing them. I'm not saying that, but I do think it does make you think, what's Carlson, 24, 23, 24? Like, there we go. Like, I don't know what to make of all of this. I know you have so much talent. I really totally do. But last year, you gave him the vote of confidence. Obviously, the Jordan Walker thing changed it all of this, and he struggled down. He had the injury. He's looked really good in spring training. I don't think he's played his way out of a spot. So it just does make you question, their ability to peg in on the right guys, and hopefully they will. But like you and I have talked about, there are a lot of at-bats for a lot of guys.
At the same time, though, like you're saying that, and then to me, that's kind of makes no sense when you consider the guys he lost the spot to. Like it's Walker who they developed. It's Tyler O'Neill who they targeted and traded away a guy we didn't want them to trade. Like no one wanted Marco Gonzalez trade at that point in time.
Right.
And they got him and they developed him and now he's up. And Lars Nootbaar, they found a diamond in the rough that they found. So to say that Dylan Carlson is any like this situation is any like I don't know what's the word. It has anything to do with the fact that they can't develop talent. Wouldn't make any sense
Please let
because
it
the
be known
three
that
guys.
that's not what I was saying.
Because the 4 guys, including Gorman, who's going to be DHing, that they are giving those spots to, they developed all of them.
I was not saying they cannot develop talent. I think sometimes they have trouble picking the right guys. That's all I'm saying. And honestly, the cynic would say, Caleb, the cynic would say, start Jordan Walker at AAA, right? And let Dylan Carlson be your third outfield. That's what the cynic would say. I'm not telling you that's what I say. I'm not telling you that that's the right or the wrong move. But there is a lot of logic in that move to go ahead and he has never played at AAA. He did really struggle the last half of spring training. The logic would tell you that if it wasn't maybe the draft pick or whatever, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just letting you know I always like to look at things logically. Jordan Walker to AAA would have made a whole lot of sense. Juan Yepez is on the big league roster. You've got Burley. Okay.
What have we been asking them to do for so long? We've been asking them to try and win in April because it means the same as it does in September. And we're all tired of them middling by the All-Star break where they have to go on these magnificent runs to just get in the fucking playoffs. They've done it 2 years in a row now, 3 years in a row now, four years in a row now. They've done it where they have sucked for the first however many months, or they go through these stretches where they struggle because they won't be aggressive. And then all this, they finally did the move that this is saying they're trying to win now in April and they're trying to put their best foot forward. Now, whether or not it works, maybe Walker struggles and he has to go back down. Definitely a possibility. It's within the range of outcomes. But even if that happens, we can look and say they put their best foot forward and tried their hardest, didn't care about service time. They said these are the best 26 guys that they have, that they believe they have. And they put them all on the team. They said, we're going to start these guys. We believe these are our best 9 in the lineup right now. And Jordan Walker is definitely one of the best 9 because even with the struggles, even with all that, he's still put together a more impressive spring, I think, than Dylan Carlson did.
Okay. I'm not arguing, but let me make 2 points and then I'm done because I don't want to get into this too deep in the woods because I am incredibly excited for Jordan Walker. Let's be honest there. Okay. But one thing.
Okay. Before you start, I think it would be important for you to clarify. You would have had him on your roster, right?
Correct.
So you're just playing devil's advocate.
Yes, but here's what I will say. All right, so let me continue with that. All right. One, I think if they would have made the decision after the struggles and the shoulder injury to send Walker down, I don't think anyone would have believed they weren't going to try to win with Dylan Carlson in your everyday lineup. So I'd like to clarify that. Huh?
That's not what I was saying.
But you said they showed that they were going for it. What I'm saying is
They
if
did.
Walker would have gone to AAA and Dylan Carlson was in the starting outfit, I don't think that means you're not going for it. Like Dylan Carlson is a great baseball player in my eyes. So 2, let me just finish and then you can finish and we'll get out of here. 2, we already talked about the fact that they didn't take the top 26. Because if you did, Juan Yepez would be on this roster
That's
and Packy
positional,
Naughton would
Dad.
not be.
That's
Packy Naughton would
positional.
not be. So
Okay.
all I'm saying is you said they made
Okay,
a
well, let me
statement by
explain
taking
myself.
the best 26. No, let me finish. They didn't. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, stop. First off, you can't bring up Juan Yepez. He doesn't play the same positions that some other guys do. Like that doesn't. You're not gonna have even if you have 8 outfielders and they're technically the best 26. You're not bringing 8 outfielders with you. It's not how it works. So no, that's
What
not
I'm
going to
saying is
happen.
Taylor Motter is your 3rd shortstop, dude. That's
He's
what I'm
not.
saying.
He's not. He's a okay. Stop. Hold on. Like what I'm saying is, and yes, no, I'm not saying Dylan. You can't win with Dylan Carlson in the lineup. I'm saying they brought all 4. They didn't send Dylan Carlson down to AAA.
I agree.
He is on the major league team. So they brought all 4, which is putting your best foot forward to win the games right now. They didn't pick Walker over Carlson. That's not what happened. They're both there. So if Carlson's going to get opportunities, he's going to get chances early on to prove that he's one of the best 3. And if he runs with them, he'll be in the lineup. But as of right now, as we sit today, I wouldn't rank Dylan Carlson higher than 4th on my outfield depth chart.
Okay, and that's a fair
Would you?
retort. No. I'm just
That's what I'm
all I
saying.
was trying to say. I'm not trying to make a case for not keeping Jordan. What I'm saying is I think that if the Cardinals like that wouldn't have been a terrible route is all I'm saying. In my mind, it wouldn't have said, oh, they're tanking or they're not trying to win. If Dylan Carlson is your everyday outfielder.
That's not what I said. They brought all 4 of them. That's my point. They brought the 4 best. And here's the last thing.
And then they brought another one.
Stop. I think the last thing that Alec Burleson is probably not going to play much outfield. Let's be honest. He's probably going to DH a lot, or he's going to play first. Like he's not going to play that much outfield, I don't think. But let's be honest with each other. Like this line of thinking, where it's like, oh, they brought these 3, and these are the 3. That's not how Oli Marmol manages a baseball.
That's fair. That's
so
fair.
When Dylan Carlson has an advantage, when he has the advantage matchup wise, he's going to be in that lineup somewhere. If they feel like Dylan Carlson on that day gives them the best chance to succeed, he will be in the lineup. And if that is only half of the days, then doesn't that say more about Dylan Carlson than it does about anything else?
In the end, let me just say one last thing. I'm glad Jordan Walker's on the team. I said day 1 of spring training when we started that the player profiles when we started talking about it, Jordan Walker was going. I had a feeling he was going to make the team. I'm glad he's here. All I'm saying is I always worry, and I shouldn't because they're professional athletes. But we've also talked about this a lot. They're humans. I do always wonder about the psyche of guys. Because let's say Jordan Walker does struggle. My hope is it doesn't happen. All right. But let's say he does, and you have to turn to Dylan Carlson. Hopefully, mentally, like that. I do worry about those kinds of things.
Get it.
And that's all I'm like. I do worry about those things. I shouldn't because the argument is they're professional athletes making a lot of money. They're still humans.
That's a stupid argument. So
I agree, but that's what
here's what I will say. Lars Nootbaar was up and down how many times last year?
Yeah.
And he was fine. He came through and did it. If you're a professional baseball player, there's going to be tough times. That's why they have sports psychologists in there.
Right.
Like that's tough. It is tough on your mental. Like everyone's watching you if you succeed or fail. Like everyone is watching you. So yeah, I get it. But also at the same time, I think all 4 of those outfielders are going to get over 400 at-bats this year. I don't think it's going to be Dylan Carlson's playing once a week. I think he'll play 2 or 3 times a week. There's a way to map this out to figure it out. And here's what I would do. I would play all of them a lot for the first month. And whichever 3 are the best, those are 3 to start rolling with. And everyone else, like you can't say Dylan Carlson didn't get opportunities. He got 3 years of opportunities.
Right. By the way, I'm not saying I agree with you. We've talked about I'm just was trying to look at it at the point of it wouldn't have been the worst. Like you could have made that decision, and I think people would have accepted. They might not have loved it initially, but it would have logically made sense. That's all I'm saying.
But also
I wouldn't have done it, and I'm glad they didn't. That's all I want to portray.
It just makes more sense. It makes it like to me. The move that was saying we're trying to win as many games as possible in 2023 was saying we're taking all 4 and we're going to figure it out in the season who's the best, and whoever is the best, that's who's going to play.
Yeah, I'm geeked. I am so geeked for Thursday. Guys, we will have one more pod while you're still listening. Thank you, by the way. If you could hit the subscribe button, you can find us on Twitter. We've gotten a lot of interaction from those of you who've been watching the pod on Twitter. Thank you for that. We love that. Facebook, really, really doing well with a lot of impressions and people giving us comments. We appreciate that. We have an Instagram. We do not use it. We do not use it. We have it, but don't go there looking for us. We kind of just use it to communicate with other people. So don't even try that. Hey, if you love the Instagram, that's fine. You're just not going to get anything from us. We will have one more pod. That's why I wanted to get to. I knew there was somewhere else going. We have one more pod this week. We're going to do. We're going to break down the Cardinals opening day series with the Blue Jays, which I cannot. I'm so geek. Never would I have thought that we were playing opening day against the Toronto Blue Jays, but here we are.
Famous rivalry, the Birds.
2-2. We also will be giving our predictions. Now, this is Caleb's time to shine. He will remember every single thing he says on this pod coming up, the next one. And if he gets any of them right, we will have to spend 48 days in a row, like giving him props for what he got right.
Well, you know why what you're saying is stupid? Is because you would do the same exact thing that you just never get anything right.
I usually forget. That's the problem. Speaking of not getting things right, did you have UConn, Miami, Florida Atlantic, and
I don't remember who the last one is.
It was today. I watched it. It was a great game. Who beat Creighton? San Diego State. Did you have that in your Final Four?
No, I didn't.
Nor did anyone.
No. Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm so geeked for it though. For those 4 teams,
it's kind of like
awesome.
though. It's so weird.
You're gonna sound like an old white here in a second.
It's kind of fraudulent. Like whoever wins it, it's like
it's not. Really? It's great. This is the way college basketball used to be back in the day. But it's also like
it's not. This has never happened.
Blue bloods. What I'm saying is, it's great that you're getting these programs who are keeping their guys longer. The portal has become huge for these. I love it. I love it because it is rewarding guys who are staying in college longer. You're seeing the guys who are doing the one and done not making it to the final. Hey, they're going to get paid. Shout out to them. But I love these teams who are staying together.
Shout out John Calipari.
And also we get Armando Bacot back for his 18th year at North Carolina.
Yeah, whatever. I love him, but come on now.
All right. Anything else?
Play as long as you can. No, I'm good. I do want to say
make sure you get those predictions ready, and make sure you get all of that stuff going because it's your time to shine.
Do you enjoy talking over me when I was trying to say one more thing?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay, well, I will probably get them right because I'm good at this. Anyway, I will say shout out Anthony Volpe. Very similar situation to Jordan Walker, a guy everyone wanted to make their team, but it would have been easy for them to say we're going with Kiner Falefa or we're going with Oswald Peraza. They didn't. They went with Anthony Volpe. I hope he shines. He's from New Jersey. It's a really cool story. Happy for him. That's all. That's all I've got. And then I've got to go do a shit ton of homework because I'm coming back, skipping some classes to go to opening day, which I'm.
You're going south and we're going north. We'll meet you in the middle. Well, not middle.
No, not even close.
You're driving way less than ours.
I'm driving 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Last thing I will say, if we talk about it a lot on here throughout the baseball season, watch West Coast baseball, watch other teams besides the Cardinals. If you have the time, I know baseball long. I get that.
Shohei Ohtani,
but I do think ML. Do you just like talking over me?
Come on, I gotta go. I gotta do stuff. So
I do think MLB is running good deals right now on their packages. So MLB TV. So go check those out. We have it. Look forward to it.
Did Manfred pay you?
Manfred.
Yeah. All right, let's end this thing.
All right. So Kevin, go do homework. Again, thank you guys for listening. As always, please hit the subscription button. We will talk to you soon. We're going to be right back here in the next couple of days, getting everything ready. Opening day on Thursday. Enjoy it. One of the best times of the year. Really geeked for it. We will talk to you soon. Let's go Cards.